We're back. Roman Reigns, Solo Sikoa, Clash at Bad Blood. Cody Rhodes defends the title. Everything tonight on In This Very Ring.
I can't believe it! Yes! Yes! A Rock is going to WrestleMania! Randy in position for another curb stop. Oh, my God! Oh, my unbelievable counter! Oh, my God! Unbelievable!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of In This Very Ring, right here live on A2D Radio. I am the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. My name is Ritz, and joining me as they do each and every Friday night, down here at the bottom, we have the mayor of Toasty Town. This is Butters. Yay!
And before you even get to it, let me just say, it feels good to be back. And as always, whether it's the past, the present, or the future, you know who it is. It's the best in the biz. Whatever this guy is saying over here, it does not fucking matter at all.
Wow. Man can't show up to the one obligation he's got and wants to be on the air for 30 seconds and talk smack. Cool.
Hey, man. Past, present, and future, in any timeline, I am him. I am the Thanos of this IWC. I have the Infinity Gauntlet.
Wow. Somebody's ego is on full overdrive.
Hey, man. Listen, I might as well say it. God rest his soul, Andy. I am your father of this wrestling talk business.
No.
Nah, in all seriousness, it's good to be back.
We're good to have you back. This is Mr. Pete Evans, ladies and gentlemen, the OGP of A2D. He did his own little intro, so I'm just giving him that. But we are brought to you by our friends at Baggio's Bread. Baggio's Bread is located in Mount Laurel, New Jersey, home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pies, sandwiches, cutlets, and meatballs. Mention A2D for 10% off your in-store purchase. Football is back, so what better way to get your incredible spread than with Baggio's Bread? I said that once like a month ago, and it has sounded amazing ever since, Pete.
What's that?
Football is back. Get your spread with Baggio's Bread. I love it.
Listen, just another tidbit on Baggio's too. Baggio's Bread is now the sole proprietor of Mama's Pizza, and I think it's in Pennsville, New Jersey. Listen, dude, the next time you come back to Jersey, cheesesteaks, meatball parm, it's ridiculous. And you pair it with the Baggio's Bread.
There's actually a place out here called Primo's Hoagies.
A buddy of mine, he owns the local one out here in Brooklyn.
So and that's where it came from. It came from out that way. So tomorrow we're actually having Primo's at the office, and the guy gets hers potato chips. I can't get those out here, so he brings me some extra ones, and I store them in my desk. It's amazing.
Nice.
But that's not what we're here to talk about tonight. We're not here to talk about food, although we could do a whole show on food. We're here to talk about WWE and specifically WWE Week on NXT. On USA, including NXT, Raw, SmackDown. But we're going to start tonight with SmackDown. It had its debut on the USA Network. And let's just say it started off super strong, kind of fell flat in the middle, but then ended on a high. Such a high that it forced us to change our entire opening segment. We now know that Roman Reigns will team with the undisputed WWE champion Cody Rhodes to take on the Bloodline's Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa at Bad Blood. So we asked the question, Roman versus Solo should be one-on-one at Bad Blood. Agree, disagree? Pete, we're going to start with you.
I disagree. And the reason why I disagree is because if you would have done the one-on-one at Bad Blood, then you have to pivot from what you've done in your signage, your advertising, and what you've already predetermined your main event of the night to be, which is the HIAC with Punk and Drew. And that pivot, because at that point, if it is one-on-one, then it has to be Roman. It has to be Roman and Solo in the main event. And don't get me wrong, there's money in that match. There's a storyline in that match to get when we ultimately get that one-on-one. But at the same time, I think that's bigger than just a Bad Blood. I like what they've done here because now they can transition and you still get that spotlight on Roman and you get the stories. It's multifaceted, right? The story of how can he coexist with Cody? He's going to get his comeuppance with the bloodline that he created, and now in the version that it is, he has to kill his own creation, so to speak, right? But then it doesn't have to be the main part of the show, right? So where if he was one-on-one, that to me, it has to close out the show. I was almost worried to the point, like coming into tonight, if Cody wasn't even in the car, he was the one sitting in the car outside of the Atlanta, the Bad Blood venue 2 months ago when he was promoting this. I'm like, how's this dude getting on the car?
Right. And we, you guys had kind of started. I was watching SmackDown on my phone, so it was really hard to communicate with you guys during that first 30 minutes with the steel cage match. But we were kind of talking, is Cody dropping tonight? Would this be the right spot to? And the first thing that popped in my head is if Cody drops, you can't not have him on in Atlanta. Right. How does he get there? What is Cody's path to Atlanta? Right. So, that could have been a rematch between Solo and Cody in Atlanta for the title. And that's where Roman would have gotten more involved, cost Solo the championship. And that takes us to Survivor Series. That was one way to do it. But you can't have Cody not go into that as champion. I think you're setting yourself up for failure in Atlanta.
Yeah. His hometown.
Exactly.
Butters, what say you on this?
Before we go to Butters, the Godfather's chiming in. What's up, Tom?
And we got Don.
What's up?
Saying what's up?
Detroit pizza still sucks.
Damn.
All right, Butters, what do you got?
I mean, it should be one-on-one with everything going on. You don't have to involve Cody in this. Cody could have been done with the bloodline and gone a different route. You could have found him a different challenger, at least for Bad Blood. It wouldn't have really overshadowed the Hell in a Cell match because you could have had that go on first. I think everybody's gone and disinterested with the whole CM Punk Drew McIntyre final match feud, whatever you want to call this. It's after SummerSlam they were done with it. Yeah, they had a good match at Bad Blood, but I mean,
Bash in Berlin.
Do what? Bash in Berlin, yeah, they had a good match at Bash, but at the same time, everybody was done with it before the match even started. So I mean, a one-on-one with Roman and Solo would have been a whole lot better. And now that it's even though it's a tag team, it's still going to overshadow this match. So I mean,
yeah,
you think about it, Pete. I mean, I know I get what you're saying, but at the end of the day, this match is still going to overshadow because now
you think it's going to overshadow the whole card, is what you're saying?
Pretty much, yeah.
I'll circle back to your point about Drew and Punk when Andy gets done, because I'm not totally there with you yet. I still think there's some life left in that, but I see your point.
So my issue is, because I'm going to agree to the poll. I would have really liked to see them start out, because we know it's going to go at least 3 matches with these guys in some capacity. So I really would have liked to see them start that at Bad Blood, right? And then it gives us, there's a way to get to Bad Blood Bad Blood to Survivor Series, because I think there's a crown jewel in there in between Bad Blood and Survivor Series. I think early November. Let me look. I actually have the list right here. Yeah, they have crown jewel at the start of November. So you could have done 3 matches, gotten us straight to Survivor Series. If you wanted to do War Games there and have it be Solo and Roman and count that as the rubber match, great, right? And then to piggyback off of both of you guys bringing up Drew and CM Punk, everything that happened, what was it, last Monday, I believe it was? When did the bracelet get broken?
Last Monday.
That was 2 Mondays ago.
All right, so 2 Mondays ago.
Right.
That all should have happened at Bash or SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I got you. Yeah, I can see that.
And Pete Butters, we all have that chat with Chrome. We've been in there.
Right.
We kind of talked about that a little bit of nauseum, off air, about how it's really hard to stay focused and interested in this storyline when we've been dealing with it since January. While they may not have been physical, and I think that's the one downfall of the storyline. While they may not have been physical, Drew McIntyre from the Royal Rumble to today, September 13th, has had one focus, and it's been CM Punk. Has had one thing on his mind, and it's been CM Punk. Right? Not even when he was fighting for the title at WrestleMania was he fully focused. You know it because he kept mentioning Punk. Punk's name was not kept out of his mouth. So by the time they finally start getting physical, all right, let Punk just beat him and move on. That was kind of how it felt. Right?
And then that first match fell flat.
Because if you knew Punk was going to win that very first match. So what's Drew going to do? He's going to keep bitching and keep bitching and keep bitching. The same stuff you've been bitching about since January. And now we've taken two mega power superstars. And you put them in a scenario where they're fighting over a bracelet. I don't care if the match is in Hell in a Cell or not. Right. Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa. You can pivot everything. Right? And just have a new poster. It wouldn't be the first time you have different posters. It wouldn't be the first time that you pivoted main events. To Butter's point, having this tag team match, you have a man who carried the company on his back for 3.5 years. You have another man who has come back and become the Messiah of that ring. And he has brought upon a new light and ushered in a new era. Follow that up with the future of professional wrestling in Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu. Right? They're the future of the Samoan dynasty in professional wrestling. The Anoa'i family. That on this, it's almost like you're taking WrestleMania and redoing it at Bad Blood, and you just shifted some players around.
You just kind of rotate it. You take out Rollins and insert to be the biggest heel and face in the company in the same calendar year is amazing.
Without having to do anything.
And when tonight, the final segment of tonight, he says, we're happy what happened. Remember, this is the first time he spoke since SummerSlam. It's the first time he's had a live mic since he's been back. And Correct. He says things have changed, but I haven't. You see what I'm saying? Like I said, he really hasn't changed. He hasn't done anything. All the heat that he drew, he used to draw that. Then then WrestleMania happened, and then all that love come back. Said, hey, like, even though he was an asshole, he went about things in a certain way where we could respect him. He was respected.
It was literally absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Right.
And what we had been teed up with Solo of how he will be the future tribal chief. He will be this. He will be that.
He's a title little kid.
It all fell super flat.
And the switch was Paul Heyman, Madison Square Garden.
Yep.
Once that happened, that was the cherry on top. So a couple things. I saw in the chat, somebody mentioned Jimmy's name. This is where, and what you said, and before this tonight, before you started speaking, Andy.
And by the way, SJM has some really good points I want to bring up when we are done this point.
All right. So I kind of wanted Cody to deny it and then have Jimmy come out tonight. Like, I don't know who I'm going to find as my partner. This, that, and the third. He gets attacked. Jimmy comes out. I still think that's going to, but now that's going to happen. That's going to happen at Bad Blood because now we're getting closer to Survivor. We're getting closer to Survivor Series of War Games, right? So I get it. But it's like Cody really didn't have anything. Cody, I mean, can I say like his run so far since Mania? It's been all right.
And you know what's crazy? As he was making his entrance tonight, I was kind of thinking the same thing. That, like, you know what? Because that was about the time where you guys started popping off he might drop. And I was like, you know what? If he drops tonight, am I really mad about it?
Exactly.
But here's the if I were to turn it on its head for a second, we have been talking about Jimmy Uso returning, and moment after moment after moment has come and gone. Right? They set themselves up at SummerSlam, and you use Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. You said, which by the way, that was the dumbest segment tonight on the fucking planet. Dumbest thing I've ever seen. Dumbest thing I've ever seen. But then you go to Bash in Berlin, and you don't have anything really going on there. Fast forward to tonight, when Roman makes his way out to the ring. Roman could have stopped on the ramp right before he ran down to the ring and had Jimmy and Jay walk out. Totally unprovoked. Everybody so confused as to what, why, how, right? Following Jay winning for the number one contendership for the Intercontinental title. All these different things, right? And then they surround the ring, just like how the Bloodline had 5 minutes prior. Because if you watch, Jacob climbs down out of the ring.
Right. He disappeared for a bit.
Right, because they don't want to have Roman and Jacob butt heads yet. And that's the other problem that we're going to have with this tag team match, but I'll get to it. You could have had them surround the ring. You could have had them, whether it was climbing the ring or because Roman's the tribal chief, Roman could have just done one of these, and it cuts to Paul Heyman at the tech box lifting the cage up. Because Roman ain't climbing no cage.
No.
Right? And then they go in, and now you have this big brawl, and it allows Cody to kind of slink out of it. You could have done that a million different ways. We'll get to the Jacob Roman thing. Yeah, we'll get to the Jacob Roman thing in a second. But SJM saying, what up, fam? OGP, nice to have the original Bless the podcast. I agree to the poll. Roman versus Sikoa at Bad Blood just makes sense. Bad Blood, pun intended. I admit I don't know if the timing is good. Outside of the timing, I think it will provide insurance to the match card, furthering the storyline and perhaps open up other avenues. Avenues specifically start a 2 to 3 match Reigns Solo Endgame as squash that could carry to other PLEs. So just on that alone, I think he hits the nail on the head when he says it right here. Insurance to the match card. Because we have Nia Jax versus To Be Determined for the title. Liv versus Rhea for the title. Balor versus Priest. McIntyre versus Punk inside Hell in a Cell. McIntyre versus Punk and Nia versus who knows are the two variables of, man, I don't know if that's going to hold really well. And the problem is, if it was any other event, we'd be like, all right, whatever. You're going to have 2 bad matches, whatever, we move on. But PLEs lately have been short cards, and every match has hit.
Yep.
And with this one, you're kind of like, ooh, I don't know, right? Are these matches Bad Blood worthy? For 3 of them, I'll agree with you. For the tag match, I don't know, because we've seen Cody versus the Bloodline for 2 years. Right? Roman is going to get his hands on Solo, but everybody wants Roman to get his hands on Jacob.
Well, I mean, I still want him to get his hands on Solo, and not to divert, where I think they really dropped the ball at with the Punk and Drew storyline and really being able to carry this PLE is, let's go back to May. I think it was May when we had Backlash, and because I'm cool with Drew and Punk because every match has gotten better. SummerSlam match kind of fell a little flat. Drew won that, right? We kind of, and then you had Seth in that as well as a special guest referee. So that dynamic. But the Bash at Berlin match, the strap match, was better than that match. And I think this match, ultimately, if we want to see it, if people are on the side want to see it, not want to see it, I think this match is going to be better than that. The biggest thing I got out of the Bash at Berlin is that Punk got through a physical match that was pretty lengthy, and he stayed healthy. He stayed whole. I mean,
Correct.
He gave Drew 4 or 5 GOAT GTSs, right? And he came out of that hole, obviously sore, but he came out of that hole. I know we had one already, and I know Trips probably already knows this, but I really, really, really wish, because of the bracelet in this storyline, that the match that we're getting at Bad Blood would have been an I Quit match with AJ Lee in the front row.
Ooh.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Have vignettes. Have vignettes of Punk and AJ walking in with Larry being there.
Yeah, I like that.
You see what I'm saying? So but the reason why they can't go back to that well is because we threw that shit away on an AJ versus, I think it was AJ versus Cody. If I'm not mistaken, there was an I Quit match on the PLE this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think it was AJ versus Cody.
So not taking anything away from AJ and Cody, but at that time with that storyline, that wasn't the time to use that. Now would be the perfect time to have an I Quit match, because we saw why we had the steel cage match. They talked about it last week on SmackDown. Said the only reason you beat me at SummerSlam is because of Roman's interference. So we even saw it in AEW with that crazy monstrosity. They had it all out. The interference, outside interference, right? That's an eye roll to it. It's just over the top. But you're trying to sell me on a Drew and Punk Hell in a Cell. There hasn't been any outside interference. The only outside interference is both of these dudes have been attacking each other when the other one ain't looking, right?
And it's not like they've been running from each other, right?
Yeah.
Hell, like, if anything, and we said it, I don't know if we've talked about it privately. I think Butters and I might have mentioned it on the air a week or two ago. I know I've talked about it in my other wrestling chat. If there was one match that was going to get Hell in a Cell on this card, it should have been Liv and Rhea,
Yes.
or Damien and Finn.
Yes.
Or both.
Yep. I mean, you speak about that tag match, that was outside of Gunther being from Germany or being from that area. The biggest match that everybody wanted to see at Bash of Berlin was Terror Twins versus Dom and Liv. That was the next biggest draw for that card, as far as from a storyline perspective. So, and this is not taking anything away from Gunther as well, but it's just that is not the interest, right? The interest is in this Bloodline storyline. We want to see Roman come, and Roman wasn't advertised for tonight. So, and then like you said, Ray, like you have cage matches to keep other people the fuck out.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying? So
look at tonight's a prime example. You know, Nick even said it. He had this cage match to keep the Bloodline out.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they say, like, don't get me wrong, I still think it's going to be good, but Trips is not without faults. This isn't like a big blunder. It's just that I think if he could go back and redo that. So I think Daniel Bakley said it. He said Cody AJ was Clash of the Castle.
Yeah,
in Scotland. So if we still had that stiff match out there, because Bad Blood doesn't mean Hell in a Cell. Bad Blood just means like, listen, it's been some shit going on between me and this person for a couple months, and we need to settle this. I need to put my fist on them. They need to put their fist on me. And we've seen everything. We've seen the strap match. We've seen the regular match. Where this is at now around this bracelet. Well, imagine the bracelet doesn't get torn and it gets torn in front of AJ at Bad Blood.
Even the strap match, though, didn't make a lot of sense because they weren't running from each other.
Right.
We're assuming that they're running from each other, and they're not. Right? Nope. Like, here's another one. Also, the McIntyre CM Punk feud is on the precipice of turning stale, just as, just my aspect. Just as Rich said, a bracelet, and he uses his Allen Iverson voice. We talk about a bracelet? I've already soured. It's a great reference, though.
Yeah.
But he's right. We're all right when we say that the Punk McIntyre, and we could do a whole show on how this is,
Right.
how this could have been such an incredible feud, and they tried to long-term storytell it in the worst way.
Yeah.
This is an example of how long-term storytelling can hurt a program. Right? You know, Daniel saying their vision problem, I think he means problem, is they're tired of both guys attacking each other, so they want to contain everything in a cell and end this feud. Hell in a Cell is always usually an ending of a feud type match. While I don't disagree with you, Daniel, right? I still, and Pete, I think Pete and Butters will both agree with me here. If they were running from each other, if they weren't able to get their hands on each other, it would be one thing. But they are not short of beating the brakes off of each other from pillar to post.
Yep. And nobody else has gotten, there hasn't been any innocent bloodshed or innocent bystanders have gotten hurt. If anything, you've had to use security and other backstage presence to pull these people, to pull them apart from each other. So it's not like, dare I say, what we had with Punk and MJF at AEW, where MJF was just the chicken shit heel and was running from everything. This isn't that. Like, these two dudes, for some right, wrong, or different, like you said, since January, since Rumble, one's been dropping a name, the other's been dropping a name. Drew actually had the world title. It cost him. What did we see 2 weeks ago when Punk came out after Bash at Berlin? He said, all right, Drew is behind me now. I don't even need, like, I got the bracelet back. He's behind me now. Now I'm coming. He said it that night at Bash. I'm curiously watching this main event because, yeah, they always say may the best man win, but then he said in this case, the best man isn't waiting. The best man is up next. So it's like, okay, so now I'm past Drew, and now I bring back. You know what I mean? And it's just, to me, I think Drew is above it. I think Punk is above it. I get it. I don't know if it's because they don't know a lot of people that want to work with Punk in that situation. And right now, I don't know.
I don't even think it's necessarily working with Punk. I think the next avenue that they had for Punk was some type of title, some type of main event scene. And when you look at the Raw roster and what they already had working, with Seth being out and Gunther still kind of doing his thing with now Sammy,
which makes perfect sense. That's perfect.
Agreed. You had nowhere to put Punk, but you can't not have Punk, a healthy Punk, on air.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, I guess it makes sense. I mean, you know, we're going to get when Seth does come back. He wants to get his comeuppance on Bronson, which I think he's been cooled off a little bit. But I mean, that spot that he had this Monday night was crazy through the barricade with Braun. So but I mean, SmackDown as a whole, good. I love the video package, like Butter said. Song, not so much. It doesn't match up for me. Not saying it's not a good song. I just don't think
I missed it.
That type of pace of a rap song with that type of a video package, it doesn't, like, we don't start the show and be cold or be flat. That's not going to get you excited, right? So, and I think that's kind of where that is. Maybe in a couple of weeks we'll see if it grows on me personally. I don't think it will, but I mean,
I'm already over it.
It was decent. Hot first half hour, right? And
let not take anything away from anybody else, but that solo Cody Rhodes match, I think that is probably the best start to a SmackDown in a long time. I think it's one of the best SmackDown matches of the year.
Yes.
I thought Solo looked great in there.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I didn't like was I didn't like the ending because Solo, there was a little miscommunication. Solo was going, I don't want to say miscommunication, but mistiming. He was going for the spike. They almost twirled around each other like a waltz, and then he locked him up. And then the Cody cutter from the top, or from one of the ropes, I should say. No, it was from the top, wasn't it?
It wasn't top of the cage.
Yeah, it was the top rope. That's right.
The
Cody cutter. So I think Solo was too close. Tried to turn. They replayed it, and I was like, no, don't replay this. Right. Don't replay this. it didn't look as clean as other Cody. It didn't look as clean as other Cody cutters did.
Right.
But that's my nitpicks of that match. You know, I think the Roman Reigns, the Kevin Owens, Randy Orton thing, it's been overplayed, overdone. We don't need it anymore.
Right.
I get it. It's a way to keep tag team wrestling interesting because Kevin and Randy. Yeah, I'm struggling over here. I got so many names on these screens over here. Kevin and Randy, they're entertaining, just in of themselves.
Right.
But I think you need to pull the trigger on: are you splitting up A-Town Down Under or not?
Right. I thought we were doing that 2 months ago, dude.
Yep.
It's Bailey Sasha all over again.
I literally thought we were doing that 2 months ago. I'm like, they're still together. You know what I mean? And like, and I think Theory can be that gullible baby face. He has the look for it. Obviously, he's young enough. He's like 24, 25. And listen, Grayson is probably one of the best heels in the company right now. Like he lives it. Like if you follow him on social, like he's the same way. He'll play that role in person, like that cocky Australian, right? So yeah, I don't know, man. I clearly could have I don't think they use A-Town Down Under too much, and they're using them in the wrong capacity. And to me, in my opinion, they're not using Pretty Deadly enough. Like I would love to see Pretty Deadly.
I don't like that Pretty Deadly has just become kind of like
exactly
a side thing.
Like yeah, for Tiffany and Nia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, nah. I don't know. It's weird, man. It's weird what they did with DIY with the tag title change. How quick that reign was. Don't know what they're doing with the Profits. It's hot. Like out of everything on SmackDown, hot. It's been hot and cold with the tag team division. Honestly, like it
really has. Like I forgot Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa were the champions.
Right, and you had them interfere in the NXT Tag Team Champion match on Tuesday.
Let's talk about that. Why?
And the Profits were no show tonight.
Why?
Maybe to sell the beatdown. I don't know.
Like I'm not gonna lie. When I heard that the Bloodline was on NXT, I was like, "Oh, well, that's a problem." Are you sending? Does that mean like you don't have faith in any of them, or is it because Tonga Loa sucks so bad? You're taking the whole faction, putting them on NXT to help him work better.
Can he really be this bad? Like he was in New Japan, and like New Japan is a different style. Like I feel like he's been so bad.
It's two different styles. That's the problem.
That's what I'm saying. Like I got to go back and watch him in New Japan as Gorillas of Destiny to see like, is this the same dude?
He went straight from New Japan style to WWE style without any sort of training.
Watching him just hurts my soul.
Like the other two took to it like it was nothing, but him, he's struggling. Yeah. He's on the struggle bus.
Like I think he kicked Roman in the eye tonight when Solo attacked Roman after he was beating down on Tama Tonga Loa, and Loa didn't move when Solo hit him, and I think he fell. Like Roman fell on Loa, but when Loa's getting up, because Roman's holding his eye after the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right? And the guy's just god awful.
Clumsy, man.
What's up, Todd?
Clumsy.
Raymond says, I feel like a Cody heel turn is coming. It's only a matter of time.
I don't know if I think he on record saying like he's like, he may not have said this exactly, paraphrasing. Like it's like that Cena thing. Like he never wants to turn heel again.
Yep.
I could have sworn I saw that somewhere.
It was the CVV.
Okay, with Chris Van Vliet. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know if there's money in that for him.
I think it's a horrible move right now.
Yeah, it's really we're only saying that because we don't have viable heels on SmackDown outside of the bloodline right now.
And which is
for
crazy.
him.
You don't
I
have
think part of it has
viable.
to do because you have all these merch sales. Mostly 90% of it's from the kids.
Well,
Yeah.
but screw that. You don't have viable heels on SmackDown. You don't have viable faces on Raw.
Yeah, it's the rosters are not balanced whatsoever.
They aren't anymore. They were at one point.
Yeah.
And then you made so many small little movements here and there, and they're not balanced anymore. I mean, Christ almighty, you had to bring Randy Orton over from SmackDown for Bash in Berlin for Gunther.
Yeah.
You're setting up for Atlanta, and as of right now, Gunther's not on the card.
Mm-hmm. He was in the crowd tonight.
He was. So I don't think WWE's doing anything like overtly, oh my god, bad. It's not AEW right now. But they need to take a hard look at the rosters and make some changes sooner rather than later. Like do a little superstar shakeup.
Yeah,
I'm wondering if that's why they're having this loser leaves SmackDown match.
Right, and like commit to guys or where they're at. Like we have Carmelo and Andrade, part number 5. Andrade goes up 3-2. Is Carmelo truly a heel? We don't know what Andrade is. Like I don't know where these guys stand. Like to me, honestly, at this point, if they would have did what they needed to do, coming out of Mania, that slow breakup with A-Town Down Under, Grayson could have been elevated to a main event spot by now. In my opinion, like that right there could be elevated to a main event spot. And this is the other thing: if you would have broken up the Profits by now, who knows what route you would have went with Tez and Dawkins? That's another one. So like, you're holding on to these tag teams and you're not using them. You're like that. That's the thing. It's like you're not using the talent in a way to elevate the division. Where those 4 guys right there, then you got 2 faces, 2 heels, or you really don't even have to break the Profits up. You can just literally say, hey, like Tez could say, I've outgrown this. I'm frustrated. We're not getting this done. I want to try it in my own way, and he goes about his own way. But definitely with A-Town Down Under, you had a clear path for Theory being the face and Waller being the heel. He goes over on Theory. He starts talking trash to Cody or LA Knight or somebody, and he can do like he could have been that or even met like it's just weird, man. And then honestly, it's almost how do I say this? Cody's run isn't that far off if you look at it from a bird's eye view as bad as Bailey's run was. It's not that far off. It really isn't, because what sustenance does the run have? He hasn't really beaten anybody new. But that's also a part to play on what the booking has been. Where you look at the other side, you look at the world heavyweight title. That title's changed hands 3 times this year, and it's somebody who's never had it, who's never was in that position before. It went from Drew, it went to Priest, now it's on Gunther. You see what I'm saying? Just look at. Remember I told you.
But here's what I think they were doing with the Raw roster and the Raw heavyweight title. I think they were building stock in Raw more so than they were for the Netflix deal. Because also you gotta think about it. In a few weeks, we're dropping down to a 2-hour Raw for the rest of the year until they get to Netflix, and it goes back to 3 hours. So you have to build some stock and have some things, enough things going to where, all right, I can fill 2 hours and no one's going to miss out on anything.
Right.
Because you are cutting out another 43 minutes of programming, which for us is great because it's less we got to keep our eye on. But when you think of making sure talent gets exposed, right? Because even over there, tag team wrestling, it's not it right now.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the downside to tag team wrestling is you really can't do true good stories anymore with them that aren't centered around the titles. And it's hard to just have, in my opinion, for the tag teams, compelling title stories.
Non-title storylines.
Yeah, non-title storylines. I think it's hard. And which is why in certain aspects, I'm okay with it. I'm okay if if they were to turn around and say the tag team division is going to turn into something like a tournament style power rankings, every few months, whatever have you, I'll take that. Right? I'll take that and I'll let it rock, because at least you're giving purpose. You're giving everybody something to fight for. They're fighting for that next spot. They're fighting to stay up in the rankings, in the bracket system. Hell, you could bring in a scoring system for the matches.
Yeah. I mean, right? Didn't we on Raw? Didn't we just have the main event? Well, I mean, I hear what you're saying in the bigger picture, like, because we just had, was it Jay and Priest? They closed out one Raw. Was it not this past Raw? It was the Raw before. The Raw before. So I mean, you can have it, but it's hit or miss, right? I don't know, man. It's difficult because the titles themselves are there, but you can even see there was interest in the titles when they created the new belts, right? And then obviously when we had the Undisputed Tag Team Champions, that meant something because it was just one team. I truly feel like I actually think the tag team division was better then when you had a unified tag team, Undisputed Unified Tag Team Champions, because it was just all the other teams are chasing this one team and they're all fighting a scrap to get to this one team and they get a title shot. You have a contenders match. You kind of if you really think about it, honestly, the best tag team division from year end now to the start that's been used the right way has been women's. And guess what? One set of titles.
Yeah, I think you could get away with going back to one set of titles, having people bounce around, because it gives the tag matches on Raw, for example. Let's say the Bloodline were the Undisputed tag team champions.
Perfect right now.
It gives the tag team matches on Raw more like, all right, we need to pay attention, because who's gonna eventually be the ones jumping ship to SmackDown to get the Bloodline's attention. Right. Mm-hmm. Raw is better with 2 hours, but do we really need commercials on Netflix?
Yes,
because I think it was a matter of time, in my opinion, before Netflix went to commercials.
Got to.
I think it's a good, because if this goes really well, because Netflix has been getting more and more expensive. It's the only streaming platform that has consistently been getting more and more expensive because they don't have commercials. You can sit there and binge an entire series, in a weekend. Now, if you bring in these different sponsors, these different commercials, it's going to allow for prices to kind of level out. But then if you do want to pay another $5-6 more or $10, whatever it is, you can get commercial free. And that's going to call back to, you remember the days where you had like the old WWE Network subscriptions, or even like WWE 24/7? You were able to have that on during Raw or SmackDown, and they had certain things that were exclusive to that, right? And you could continue to have that now.
It's kind of like what they do with Peacock now for the PLE. Like if you got the standard Peacock, you'll get ads, but if you got the Peacock Premium, they're showing you the
video packages,
the packages that's led up to that story. But also, to speak to Damien's point, I mean, fact of the matter is, they just paid $1 billion for this deal. You damn right they need to sell some ad spots.
Yeah,
you see what I'm saying? They need to sell.
How long it was going to be before you could watch an episode of Raw if you needed to rewatch it?
I think it's going to be next day.
Next day, yeah.
About to say, SmackDown.
Is it a 10-year deal that they signed? Is it a 10-year deal they signed?
It's either a 5-year, $10 billion, or it's a 10-year, $5 billion. I can't remember.
USA announced that SmackDown, it would take 30 days before you can rewatch the replay.
Which is fine.
$5 billion over 10 years.
Okay. Which, you know what, 30 days. And I think that's more so with just the fact of like part of the TV deal, what USA wanted.
Mhm.
I'm cool with that because you get it next day on Hulu still.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's through Peacock is where it's going to be 30 days rewatch time.
Mm.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, and that defeats. Wow. So I didn't even think about this part. Like, because I've had Raw set up as like a DVR recorder for the last 15 years.
Exactly.
Like scheduled recorder. So now, wow, I didn't even think about that.
But, well, no, that's just SmackDown.
Now I'm saying, just moving forward. Now, once we get the Netflix on Raw, there is no more DVR. You
Right.
have to watch it.
And but I think like so somebody like me who doesn't have cable at home, right? I have I mean, I have to renew my Netflix. I wasn't watching it, but I had Netflix for the longest time. Now all I got to do is at any given point, right? I can turn on Raw and sit there and watch it. I don't have to worry about like, oh God, did I DVR it? Oh crap,
Right.
And you'll be able to watch it at your leisure.
Like, I wonder if it's live and you say it's 9:00, can you like? Is it going to be a facet where you can start live and restart it and then catch up?
I would like that.
You know what I mean? Like to where like you don't have to wait until the next day, or if you do start watching it, you miss the first hour, you can't rewatch that first hour or catch up. It's going to be trial and error, I think. You know what I mean?
I'm very interested to see how it goes. I wouldn't be surprised, depending on when that first Raw is. I don't remember the date off the top of my head. I wouldn't be surprised if I try to do something special for that night. But we'll see where the road takes us. We kind of got off the rails here just a little bit. Is there anything anybody wants to bring up? I'm not getting on my AEW soapbox and talking about the suffocation or the needle or anything like that, because all that's going to do is piss me off to no nth degree.
I won't talk about that, but I can talk about the fact is, and I can't believe I'm saying this, it is stupid as shit to take the title off of Swerve at All In for nothing. For nothing. This is the best storyline AEW has ever had in Swerve and Page. And it started over the fact that they both wanted the world title.
And not even just that, right? Because everybody knows I can't stand Hangman Adam Page. I can't stand him.
Somebody called him a heel Magnum TA.
That's fantastic. But
somebody explain to me.
Hold on, pause. To take the title off of Swerve,
right,
to put it on Daniel Bryan, who we were all under the assumption he was going to retire, just for Daniel Bryan's faction to essentially try to kill him. But only because Moxley's back. But Moxley's trying to get in touch with Darby Allin, and Wheeler Yuta is still loyal to Daniel Bryan, but Pac, who had no affiliation before, is holding Yuta back, and Claudio is knocking out Daniel when there's really been no shred of tension or beef. Is anybody lost yet?
Yeah, I don't know. This isn't connect the dots.
Well, I got lost to the point where Darby has the next title shot. But now Moxley is going to challenge him for that title shot, and Nigel McGuinness gets the next shot at Bryan if he's cleared. Where the fuck did all
for Christian Cage to cash in this shot?
Yes, yes.
And then Edge comes back and takes it off for Christian Cage again. That's all this is.
And it's just so infuriating.
It's the road to Daniel Bryan's retirement. Who gets it? A, B, C, or I don't fucking know who.
You set up, and we talked about it. You could not have done a better send off for Daniel Bryan.
Yes.
Than you did it. What was it? All out? No, all in.
All in.
You could not have done a better send off, and you decided to put the title on him. Fine, sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's rumored he's going to walk out Wednesday and drop the title. Fine, sure. He doesn't do that.
Have a good weekend, Eileen.
Bye, Eileen. Fast forward to post All Out, and now they're trying to kill him.
And then like that
for no reason.
No, and that didn't need to be for the title. That's my whole point. Like, why don't use the title to elevate? And even if you did the same thing, once again, we talked about WWE going back to the well, and I wish they could with the I Quit match, right? Tony Khan could have went back to the well again with the same thing he did with Sting earlier this year. They knew it was his last match. They won the tag titles. He retired. Tag title tournament. You did a tournament before. You did it when it was an interim tournament, and you had an interim champion versus the real champion. You did champion versus champion. Could have did the same thing. Have your happy go home, send home moment with Daniel Bryan. So I did it. I went out on my terms. Here goes.
Like, you could have had Bryan drop the title, and then have Christian Cage and Darby Allin go at it with their title shots.
Well, what night was it where Christian came out and we thought he was going to cash in?
Just the All Out. That was just the All Out.
Okay, that wasn't All Out. You should have just done it then. You should have just done it then. I would have hated it so much because I don't think this Christian should be champion of anything. I think the patriarchy is stupid. Mm-hmm. I think you have totally killed the Luchasaurus kill switch, big giant fucking dinosaur character.
There's been so many times you could have turned him against Christian Cage and you pushed him out.
I think that you've taken Nick Wayne and you've made him just an entitled mommy's boy. You can't, Mrs. Wayne, it just looks like a gigantic whore. And then you have Christian Cage sitting there like he's actually accomplished something and done something and elevated these people into superstardom, when until you went to TNA and they didn't have anybody else, you could barely hold Adam Copeland's jockstrap in WWE. You only got your break because Angle, Jarrett, Joe, AJ, they were all out.
Mm-hmm.
It's frustrating.
It is. Because you hear people say, because I watch both, you'll hear people say, well, WWE's 5 matches, long-term storytelling, but just want to see the action, I want to see the match. And that's what AEW gives you, right? It gives you, like you see the all-out card, the all-in card, usually 8 to 10, 12 matches on it, right? Talent you know, talent you don't know.
Right.
And that's all well and good, but then when you try to tell stories and you try to make it make sense, it just doesn't. Title changes neither title should have changed hands at All In. Toni Storm should still be the women's champion.
I'll disagree.
I don't know what Mariah May is going to do with it. What is she doing with it?
So
she's kicking her feet. They're talking about she wants Mina Shirakawa to come back, and you just had freaking Jamie Hayter come back, and she didn't even lose the title.
Which, by the way, I'm so mad about her return. I am so.
You got wasted on 0 hour.
I am so infuriated about that. Like my blood boiled when I saw that. But besides the point, right? I totally got so mad I don't even know what we were talking about. Oh, Mariah May.
Yeah.
I thought it was the right call because I thought Toni Storm as champion had run its course.
Okay.
There was nothing more.
A champion to being a challenger, be chasing.
Right. Go back to the chase, right? Maybe rebuild yourself. Not totally change your character, but rebuild. Go to that next evolution. We were ready for the next chapter.
Right.
Right. Of Toni Storm. And I think we were ready for the next chapter for Mariah May as well. You could have very easily positioned her against Jamie Hayter, against Britt Baker. Britt Baker could have said, you know what? I'm done trying to screw around with this TBS title. Right? I'm done dealing with that. You could have had Saraya interject herself. You could have pulled from any of these different people And now you're just kind of letting her flounder, which is fine for now.
Right.
Because you had such a quick bit from All In to All Out.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. Totally fine by me. Now you have to position her into a feud.
When I said with her, after she turned on Tony, don't have her come out the next week. And don't have her come out the next week when you're in the south of the Mason-Dixon line in Alabama and she's English. That's not going to hit. Like, she should have went away for 2 weeks. She should have went away for 2 weeks. Let that build, then bring her back. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just different. Don't know Matt and Nick, tag team champions. They beat FTR. They haven't defended shit. You got Okada, who's beloved in the elite, is getting cheered all the time while the rest of the elite gets booed, right? It's just all over the place, man. It really, you got Don Callis, one of the most hated man in AEW next to Christian, right? But then you got Will Ospreay and him still interacting with each other, and Will Ospreay is so over like Rover. It just, I don't know where all this is heading.
So like we just talked about how WWE has kind of missed the mark on certain things, and more so it's just on a timing perspective. AEW literally feels like they're in the back playing GM mode on the old SmackDown, Raw versus SmackDown, like 2007.
Well, like what is Moxley talking about? That, you know, everything's changing. You don't, you know, own this, or we own it.
I think that's leading to Shane McMahon, right? And if it does, I think it's a great way to do it because you put somebody like Moxley and you have Moxley build this up to where Shane just comes in and Shane just has to be the figurehead of it all, right? You let Moxley do a lot of the talking, a lot of the physicality. I think the Marina Shafir thing addition is weird to me.
I mean, she's whooping everybody's ass. She gives no damn.
Right, you just kind of like put her with him for no reason.
I almost wish they would have waited. You flip flop Camille and Marina. You let Marina be the bodyguard to Mercedes.
No, I think
you don't think so? Because we've already seen Marina. Imagine if that visual that night he came back, and then later on in that night you see a woman just walking, kicking the shit out of some production guy, a PA guy in the back, and you turn around and you see it's Camille. That's the very first time you see her.
I think it would have had a bigger like shock value to it. Yes,
right.
I think long term it just wouldn't have worked very well.
Okay, fair enough.
Because Marina's not getting any kind of spotlight. No one's talking about her.
Right.
Everybody's talking about John. Right. Whereas with Camille and Mercedes, people are talking about Camille because of how she's being positioned and how she's being highlighted. So I think that's the one thing that they may have done right, but everything else is just a giant cluster. We've got less than 2 minutes. Does anybody else have anything real quick, rapid fire comments they want to talk about? Eagles Falcons Monday night. Eagles coming off a big win. I know, Pete, you don't really get to talk football much anymore.
I choose not to talk football much anymore. I'm getting itch. I may be popping up talking some pigskin in the near future. We'll see. Tough game. It's gonna be whatever you betting. I think bet the under because the Falcons got a good defense. Tomorrow, catching an early screening of Transformers 1. I cannot wait.
I am actually getting a little bit more hyped for that show, that movie.
Yes.
I may go try to see it this weekend.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely different. But outside of that, man, just happy to be back on this side of the camera, talking some wrestling. Some wrestling. Yeah, man, it's a great time. It's a great time to be a wrestling fan, man.
There's so much going on.
Yeah,
a lot.
I did not know Sammy Guevara and Dustin Rhodes were the Ring of Honor World Champions.
I didn't either till the other night. Go figure. But that is it for us tonight, guys. We will be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. For Mr. Pete Evans, Mr. Butters. I am Rich. Until next time, tell somebody you love them. Peace, love, and joy. We're out of here.